Here is something that caught me completely off guard when I first started looking into it. The average backyard vegetable garden produces mostly water and fiber. Lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, they are wonderful. But if you actually had to live on what your garden grows, you would be in serious trouble. The crops most people plant simply do not produce enough calories to sustain a family. Once I understood the science behind caloric density in plants, how certain crops convert sunlight into stored energy far more efficiently than others, it changed what I grow entirely. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 high-calorie crops that can turn even a modest backyard into a genuine food source, and I will break down the science behind why each one produces so much energy per square foot. Stick around for the bonus tip at the end because it is a planting strategy that can nearly double what you harvest from the same amount of space. Food security gardening is a different mindset than growing for pleasure. It is about maximizing the calories, protein, and nutrition you pull from every square foot of soil. These 7 crops are the backbone of that approach, and every one of them has been feeding families and civilizations for centuries. Let us start with the heavyweight. The first one I want to talk about is potatoes, and there is a fascinating reason why they have been the foundation of food security for hundreds of years. Potatoes produce more usable calories per square foot than nearly any other temperate climate crop. A single plant can yield 3 to 5 pounds of tubers, and those tubers store beautifully for 4 to 6 months in cool, dark conditions. The science is elegant. The potato plant converts sunlight into starch and banks that energy underground in its tubers, safe from most weather events and above-ground pests. They grow in USDA zones 3 through 10. Yukon Gold is versatile and flavorful, while Kennebec is a storage powerhouse. Plant seed potatoes about 4 inches deep and 12 inches apart, and hill soil around the stems as they grow to encourage more tuber formation. I learned early on that loose, well-drained soil is the key to clean harvests with fewer disease issues. When the foliage dies back, wait 2 weeks before digging to let the skins cure in the ground. That patience extends storage life significantly. Next up is winter squash. And this one really surprised me when I calculated the caloric output. A single butternut squash plant can produce 30 to 40 pounds of fruit in a good season, and each pound is packed with dense, starchy flesh, rich in beta-carotene and natural sugars. The thick rind is natural packaging that keeps the flesh viable for 3 to 6 months without refrigeration. Winter squash thrives in USDA zones 3 through 11. Waltham butternut is my top pick for its disease resistance and exceptional storage life. Give each plant 4 to 6 feet of space and let the vines sprawl. They will shade out weeds and conserve soil moisture on their own. Harvest when the stem turns brown and corky, and always leave a few inches of stem attached. I lost an entire crop my second year by cutting the stems flush. Every squash rotted within weeks. That stub of stem is the seal that keeps bacteria out. Number 3 on our list is sweet potatoes, and here is why they deserve a spot. Sweet potatoes are calorie dense, loaded with beta-carotene, and they thrive in poor soil with almost no fertilizer. Their vines shade out weeds naturally, which means they practically maintain themselves once established. The tubers store well for several months in a cool, dry location. They perform best in USDA zones 5 through 11 and love heat. Beauregard matures in about 90 days and is the most widely grown variety for good reason. Covington offers excellent disease resistance as well. Plant slips 12 to 18 inches apart after all. Frost danger has passed. Here is a lesson I learned the hard way. Sweet potatoes prefer lean soil. Too much nitrogen pushes vine growth at the expense of root development. I planted them in my richest bed and harvested enormous vines with tiny, disappointing tubers underneath. The following year, I gave them my worst soil and the yield tripled. If you're finding this helpful, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week breaking down the science behind growing better food at home. It is free, and it means you will not miss the next one. All right, let us keep going. The 4th pick is dry beans, and let me tell you why I think these are the most underappreciated crop in the food security conversation. Dry beans are one of the most complete plant-based protein sources you can grow, and they store almost indefinitely in sealed containers. Unlike fresh green beans, you let these mature fully on the vine until the pods are papery and rattle when shaken. A 20-foot row can produce enough dried protein to supplement a family of 4 for weeks. They also fix their own nitrogen through rhizobia bacteria on their roots, so they actually improve your soil while feeding your family. They grow in USDA zones 3 through 10. Black turtle and pinto are both excellent, reliable choices. Plant seeds about 4 inches apart after frost passes. I grow a full bed every season now and store the harvest in glass jars. 5 years in, some of my earliest jars are still perfectly viable. The fifth one I want to talk about is corn, and there is a fascinating reason why it belongs on this list when grown as a dry grain rather than sweet corn. Most backyard gardeners think of corn as those sweet ears you eat in summer, but dent corn and flour corn grown to full maturity and dried on the stalk produce an entirely different kind of harvest. Dried corn stores for years can be ground into cornmeal and provides serious caloric density. It thrives in USDA zones 3 through 11. Bloody Butcher is an heirloom dent corn that dries beautifully. And Oaxacan Green is a gorgeous flour corn with a wonderful flavour when ground. Number 6 on our list is carrots, and here is why they deserve a spot on a calorie-focused list. Carrots are higher in calories than most people realise, and they have a remarkable storage advantage. You can leave them right in the ground through winter under a thick layer of straw mulch and harvest as needed. The soil acts as a natural root cellar, keeping them fresh for months without any processing or special equipment. They grow in USDA zones 3 through 10. Danvers, half long, handles heavier soils well, and Bolero is outstanding for long-term keeping. Sow seeds directly about 2 inches apart in loose, rock-free soil. Germination takes patience, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. I lay a thin piece of burlap over the bed to hold moisture during that waiting period. When the root tops are about 3/4 of an inch across at the soil surface, they are ready to pull. The 7th pick is Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes. And let me tell you why I think these are the secret weapon of food security gardening. Once established, Jerusalem artichokes are practically indestructible. They are a perennial sunflower relative that produces knobby, calorie-dense tubers underground, and they come back year after year without replanting. The tubers are rich in inulin, a prebiotic fiber that supports gut health. They grow in USDA zones 3 through 9 and tolerate poor soil, drought, and neglect. Stampede is a good name variety, though. Many gardeners grow generic stock that performs just fine. Plant tubers about 4 inches deep and 12 to 18 inches apart in an area where you do not mind them spreading because they will spread. I dedicated a corner of my yard to sunchokes about 8 years ago, and they produce a massive harvest every fall with zero input from me. Dig tubers after the first frost when the tops die back, and leave a few in the ground to regenerate next year. Now, this is something I stumbled onto about 6 years into my food security gardening, and it fundamentally changed my yields. The strategy is relay planting. Instead of waiting for one crop to finish before planting the next, you start the second crop between the rows of the first while it is still maturing. For example, I plant fast-maturing bush beans between my corn rows about 3 weeks after the corn goes in. The beans fix nitrogen that feeds the corn, and they finish producing before the corn canopy fully closes. Then, after the beans come out, I direct sow carrots into that same space for a full harvest. 1 bed, 3 harvests, 1 season. It takes some planning, but the caloric output from a single raised bed using this method is remarkable. That is everything I have for you today. Gardening is one of those things where the more you learn, the more you realize there is to discover. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next one. Happy gardening, and I will see you in the next video.